Just sitting here watching The Bishop's Wife, one of my favorite holiday movies. I just love Cary Grant. But it's got me wanting a little bit of an English treat. So for the holidays in England, I'm going to make a banana walnut scone. Something delicious that'll go great with my tea. Now you may be thinking, well, the English aren't really known for their food. I think that's kind of a fallacy. But you watch the scones and you'll see how easy they are. And tell you, anyone can make them. For our banana walnut scones, I'm starting with 2 cups of whole wheat flour. I kind of like the whole wheat flour if I can use it because it really helps with the diabetes and everything. It's a little bit slower to get into your system. And this Montana wheat golden whole wheat flour is just delicious. And it won't affect the color or the texture or anything. So we start with that. Just a pinch of salt. A half teaspoon of nutmeg. A half teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, a half cup of Truvia sugar substitute brown sugar, and 3/4 of a cup of walnuts. I'm putting them in now with the dry ingredients. So when I mix it up and then when I add the wet and mix it even further, it's going to break some of those nuts up into smaller pieces and all, or you can just chop it up ahead of time. One egg. Mix that sucker up in there. And 2 medium bananas, ripe. Perfect thing to do with those brown bananas you've got sitting on the counter. Now these are scones, so we are not making a batter. This is not going to be a liquid pourable thing, but more like a biscuit or a scone. It'll be a solid dough. Now 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Grate in 1 stick of frozen butter. Now you want to fully incorporate this butter into your mixture. Get as much of the butter covered in your dry goods as possible. This already smells like banana bread, but it's a nice simple scone. To this I add a teaspoon of lemon juice to react with the milk and the butter, give us a nice rise, and 3/4 of a cup of milk. Now if your bananas are a little wetter, you may need to cut back on the milk a little bit. You can use your own judgment like that. You don't want this too wet. See that consistency? That's about what you want. Now that we have it all blended up, we're going to get in there with our hands. This should always be the last thing you do with any scone or any biscuit, because if you warm the butter too much, you won't get those layers and the flakiness as it rises. But we're going to keep going in here and we're going to fold this over and over and over. See, this is just a touch wet. So what do? You just add a little more flour. You always should have a little bit of flour set aside anyhow for your board work when you're done. So we'll just press this in as we fold. So the last thing you do is get this up into a ball for your board. You're going to need to flour your board liberally to keep the scones from sticking. Turn it over a couple of times. You want this to be as round as you can. Just like that. And then we cut it before we put it in the oven. I always preheat my oven to 350. And for the scones and all, I have a cast iron pan that I put them on. And I put that cast iron pan into the oven to heat. Because I want to put these on a nice hot pan. And they're going to go into the oven for 15 to 18 minutes. Just watch them. When they get the brown color that you like, pull them out. Now after a short 20 minutes, we have these beautiful banana walnut scones. These are so good. They're going to go great with my tea. And I'm going to get back to the movie. So you try them. They're so easy to make and sugar-free. Thanks, subscribe and like.